Jam. Today we're going to be talking about voice and AV, and we've got a very special guest with us, Mr. Steve Ashby, 20-year AV specialist, who there's a group of people here together, and you'll know online on Twitter. He knows his stuff about this, so hopefully we're going to get some wise words from you, Steve. We've got Jace Ward, Kev Talbot, and today we're all remote, which is a little bit different. We're going to kick off with you, Steve, mate. So, AV, voice, how's it working in this corporate market, home market, and what do you see for the next, 2-3 years?
It's the voice is slowly coming in. Which we've sort of seen more of. I think everyone now is using sort of Amazon and other Siri and other devices out there. It's mainly residential at the moment, and that's the key area it's being used. But we're seeing it more of the larger manufacturers, AV manufacturers, wanting to bring it into corporate and to the commercial environment, which it's definitely got its place. There's no doubt there at all. And I think over the next sort of 2-3 years, we're going to see a more defined role for it. And I don't think, I'll be bold, it's as worrying as people think.
Really? Interesting. Who's worried about it?
I think there's lots of concerns. There's security concerns. There's it's not going to pick up my voice. I might have an accent.
No accents here at all.
And just a misconception over what its role, or what I feel its role should be in a professional environment. So I think they're the main areas where there's concern, I feel.
Kev, you were waving around there.
I have massive concerns. Right now, I have massive concerns. I think people do it at home now, and it's been the same with so many things. Look at 4K and bloody 8K as it comes. People do it at home. They expect it in work straight away, whether it's ready or not. And this is my biggest concern is right now, I still don't feel it's close to being ready. I don't know how it's going to pin in for your entire business, for your entire company, and understand everyone's way of saying things and understand everyone's way of working enough that I'm going to walk in and say, now then ring Jace, and it's going to say, what? Who? Why? That's my concern. It's not going to understand however many hundreds of people.
Because everyone else apart from you speaks English.
Yeah, but that's not the point, though. I shouldn't change myself to sell some mental machine what to do.
I can say to Google, "Hey up Google," or "Hey Google," and it will activate, right?
You can really say, "Go Yorkshire, hey up Google."
You can, yeah, and it will activate on that. And I haven't done anything with it. So there's
obviously it take time to learn that.
But no, there's no learning time on it. That's just the way it is because of obviously the intonation and whatever goes with the OK bit. It'll pick it up. Now, similarly, you can change Alexa's name. You can change it to different start phrases and everything, right? What I think we're looking at, though, is there's a difference between this simplistic voice in AV world and then there's the likes of the AI voice where you have a far more intelligent conversation going. And we're crossing two barriers here, I know, but that...
I completely agree. And I think this is, Kev, what you've come out and said straight away, I think this is where there's a slight misconception. We're assuming that voice is going to control an entire system. That's not going to happen. You're absolutely right. That's years and years and years away if there's ever a need for it. But what I believe it's going to do is it is going to complement your current system. And there's many different ways you can do that. You can go small to extreme. But if you go extreme, you're going to have to be prepared that every command you want, or majority of commands you want, are going to have to be custom programmed. That's going to be expensive. It's going to take a long time.
So just picking that up from there then, programmers of a generation before you, Ashers, they would put a square on a touch panel and it said DVD. And when the client pressed DVD, it come on the screen and everyone thought that programmer was a wizard. You, on the other hand, have got to go way further to impress the clients now, mainly because of these things. But the people who are developing the Alexas and the Googles of this world are also investing millions and millions and hundreds of thousands of people developing this architecture. You've got 4 days on site, run on to the next site, but their expectation doesn't alter.
Yeah, there's one specific advantage with voice over the sort of the GUI side, if you like, as we've just discussed, the user interface, is that the millions that are being put into voice, we can piggyback off. So all the technology behind it, the working out of the accents or the phrasing to a degree, is done by your Googles, your Amazons, your Apples.
Does that not make it even harder though? Think of this, you're going off the back then of what people are expecting, where you said you understand that it's going to work with the room, it's not going to do everything, whereas I'm expecting this whole full-blown, like Noel said, AI conversation where it understands what I want, it knows it's me walking in a room. People, whether we like it or not, are going to expect that. So is that not making it even harder?
Routines. I was creating my Christmas routine this morning.
Yeah.
I expect
for starting the day with the lights and everything.
I expect it to walk into a room, know it's me that's walked in that room, know from my calendar that I've got a meeting at that time, whether I've booked it or not, and just to set it up and go.
Absolutely.
AI was intelligent, and it knew you walked in the room, it had shut off.
But what you're talking about is, rather than voice control, you're talking about AI.
No, because I want to walk in a room and I say start my meeting, and it knows my meeting. I don't need to book it. But this is what people are going to expect, aren't they? I know it's a bit away from voice, but people expect the world whether they want to pay it or not.
Briefly moving away to address your point, which the AI point is, you can do that. You can do that. We've seen. I think we've all seen technology where the camera recognition technology, whereby you walk into a room. It's got a small camera as you walk in, it detects your face, knows who you are, and then you can have that custom built to the system. Can then go, okay, Kev Talbot's walked in the room. This is how he likes to work. This is his setup. You can have it so that it reads off, so your control processor reads off Outlook, sees who the meeting organizer is, and it knows who that meeting organizer is. And yeah, if you really wanted it to, it could produce a voice. You could produce a voice that says, "Welcome, Mr. Talbot," or whatever else you wanted. But with all of that, you need the investment.
It's like having my own Jarvis.
But the main issue being is, who wants to pay in the current environment? Who's going to pay £500,000 to have?
No one. So to bring that back to perspective, for any client or for us, for one of our rooms, you're saying you could quite easily get a unit. You could walk in a room and say, "Okay, Google, start my meeting," and the meeting would start.
Yes.
Which would be... Go on.
I've got another issue with that. We've always said that the difficulty with control is users. People that think they know a bit can be dangerous. People that should know better are disruptive. If there's an Alexa or a Google in the room, they're going to do what I'm just about to do now. Alexa, set an alarm for 4 a.m.
Alarm set for 4 a.m. tomorrow.
Exactly. So now you put voice in a meeting room. Could you imagine people on the far end starting the worst song you've ever heard of, or setting mental alarms, or just remotely shutting the system down?
But this is
Alexa, cancel that alarm.
Why do you think I unplugged all of my stuff?
Why do you think I use headphones?
So that's a good point. That's a good point Kev raises there.
Yeah.
How many people in the workplace are as irresponsible as Kev are going to mess about like that?
Well, this is the other thing, and Noel said earlier, you can change key phrases. The other thing is, you can lock down what you can and can't do. So if you're putting in a business environment, I'm 99.9% certain you can. You can lock it down, and you can restrict it. So yes, so it won't play music. It won't tell the daily joke. I had a situation with my daughter when I first started doing a bit of R&D with Alexa, and my daughter turned around and said, Alexa, tell me a joke, and it told her a joke, and she thought it was brilliant, and it was a children's joke, and so she turned around and said, Alexa, tell me a grown-up joke. Thinking that was innocent. Now I tell you what, there was a lot of shouting and there was a lot of stop when I started to hear the joke. It wasn't for 6-year-olds' ears. So yeah, absolutely, there's got to be limitations put in place. But let's be fair, we've done this with IT within companies from the start, haven't we? We've put those barriers, those blocks to ensure that you can't access the wrong material or whatever else. The same's going to be with voice control. You can't just throw a domestic unit in and think, there we go, that's great, I've got a voice controller. It needs to be built upon. It needs to be properly developed, which, as I say, there's some of the key control manufacturers out there are developing with the big players to bring this to life. But to another quick example of when I talk about voice control and the misconception people have over thinking that I've got to do everything with it. If I'm running late, for example, I'm driving to a client, I'm driving to colleagues, running late for a meeting. Not really practical to phone them, but obviously I can't text while driving, so I'll activate Siri. Siri, send a message. Tell so-and-so I'm going to be late. Be there whatever time. When I park up my car and get out, I'm not going to activate Siri again and say, Siri, send a message. I'm going to use my phone as a touch panel. I'm going to send that message in the conventional sense, because that's what comes naturally. That's what I know will work. That is how I see voice being introduced into the more professional environment in the next few years. It's a tool, it's an aid. There's other benefits as well of, accessibility, which I don't think a lot of people take into consideration. If you have employees with disabilities or impairment of some kind, voice can be a massive benefit to allow them the inclusion of using your facilities. We all think about voice control in the one single big boardroom environment. It doesn't necessarily have to be so. It can be controlling your HVAC, controlling your lighting, controlling the rest, your signage players. It can be introduced for virtually anything that you would use a typical AV control processor for. It's just you have to bear in mind what the specific use of it is going to be.
So do we see then, next year, because we're close, 2019, are we going to see a lot more of it? And is it ready now to at least start to attempt to achieve this? Or is this still at the minute big picture and are we a couple of years away?
No, I think we're ready. And I think we've seen...
I'm with Steve here that 2019 we're gonna ease ourselves in gently. You're only gonna sell it at a simplistic level or at a level where the client can control it. So let's start to wrap this up. And this has been great, and we're going to come back and do this one again, Steve. Right?
Yep.
But what we're going to do is we're going to set you a challenge to start one of our rooms with a voice command, with a couple of simple voice commands off our Crestron control system, and we'll come back then at some point next year and do it all over again. And I'm sure Kev might behave.
No.
So on that note, thank you everybody for watching us.
Just before you go,
what are you doing?
I told you to get it.
I want joint custody. I want joint custody. You should have to put some money in the charity box for that.
I'm keeping it.
So we were just closing off, weren't we? Noel, Kev, Steve Ashby, follow him on Twitter. He's on the AV and the AM quite a lot, making some good contributions there. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.
Bye.